I will not want to draw conspiracy theory. It's unprofessional to do that right now, especially on air. But I do not think it is a coincidence. I do not think it is a coincidence. I don't know if he was killed. I wouldn't say he was killed. That would be too much to say. But then I think it wasn't natural. Of course, anyway, no death is natural. But I don't think it was a coincidence.
Welcome to episode 12 of Reactions. My name is Mr. Sal. Joining me today are my... I've started though.
Yeah, I understand.
Why are you laughing? I don't understand.
Hello guys, there's something happening behind the camera that you guys cannot see, but yeah, I'm happy to be here. I hope you guys have had a lovely week. Let's get down to business.
And Mr. Nwachukwu.
Hello.
What's hello? After all that's gone on behind the scene, you're saying hello.
Hello.
Where have you seen camera that they are waving hand at like that?
Well, I think this.
Then we have Valerie in the background, our camera woman.
She's like this.
Yeah.
she lives in Zuba.
Yeah, let's get serious. Like, we have very serious, important issues to talk about today.
Yes, we do.
We cannot be laughing. Yeah. Anyway, before we start discussing today, please like this video, share this video, subscribe to page 36 TV on YouTube, and comment as well. If you have any opinion on whatever we're going to discuss today, please share your opinions. What are we talking about first today? So the Chief of Army Staff, the former Chief of Army Staff, Ibrahim Attahiru, was killed in a plane crash alongside 10 other officers last week Friday in a military plane crash very close to the Kaduna International Airport in Kaduna State. So there are many speculations. So what I want us to talk about here, guys, so after the plane crash, there was so much speculations as to what happened to the Chief of Army Staff. How could the plane carrying the Chief of Army Staff of a country just crash? We had several crashes earlier on. I think within 3 months, we had like how many? I don't know the particular figures, but for the first time, I think.
In a long time.
Yeah, we've had our Chief of Army Staff crash, at least since the beginning of this democratic era.
Yeah.
So some people say he was murdered because of his approach towards the fight against insurgency. Some people actually said he was very serious about ending insurgency and the insecurity in Nigeria. There was even a video on Tunde Ednot. I don't know if you guys saw that video of some villagers where they said they saw two.
That was false.
Was that
false? False. Yeah, it was an old video from way back.
Yeah,
it was an old video. From
okay, yeah. So that came up. I thought we'll bring that up as well. So we're discarding that one. So what did you guys think about this? What do you think happened here? Is this negligence? Was this an assassination? Or what do you think? Because we don't know. We can only speculate and allege, based on what we think. So as young Nigerians, I would like us to react to this. To the plane crash of the COAS last week. Mr. Houston, do you want to go first?
First of all, I'd like to say it was a very tragic sin. It was a very tragic thing to happen to anybody.
Yeah.
I sympathize with his family and every other concerned Nigerian with regards to the loss of, it's a national loss. So, but then it's not, they say fool me once. It shouldn't be considered a coincidence that a Beechcraft or military aircraft could crash a third time in less than 6 months. And this time around, it's not just crashing, it's crashing with about 13 people on board. The first one had about how many people? And it was just the second one that had one person. That was the one that crashed in Kano State. But this is, I think, this is the most we've had in this quarter, or in this short time. Yeah. So they said something about picking the black box. I don't know if it's just me, but since 2005, since the crash, the Bellevue situation till date, I've heard of people celebrating the discovery of black boxes in Nigeria with regards to plane crash and all that. And I've not seen, I've never heard of or seen the after
the end result of the
exactly,
investigation.
the result of the investigation of such this thing. So I do not understand where people were celebrating that they finally found the black box.
Before then, let me cut you short there. Yeah. On the same day when the incident happened, the Nigerian Armed Forces, they released a statement immediately and said that it was due to bad weather.
Yeah.
So they already concluded already. It was, I think, the next day we got another report saying, they found the black box and they were going to
investigate. It's like bad weather.
Yeah.
And I have a senior or a very experienced Air Force pilot in my estate that stays in the same place with me, and I see him go, he flies out in and out of the country on the regular. As a matter of fact, he's actually flown the president. He's been opportunity to fly the president before, right? I've never from what he says, I've never really had a conversation, but from what I hear him talk to other people about, people who are interested in his occupation, he talks about how highly maintained or the high maintenance that is involved with regards to the Air Force aircraft and the rest of them. So I wonder, you can't tell me it's weather. I think it was crass of them to have come out to say it was the weather immediately without even investigating what happened. They came out, they brought specialists and all that to TV. I don't know if that was damage control. I
think it was very suspicious.
Of course it was very suspicious, because you come out and tell us it was weather. We've had this weather problem with every aircraft, and how come we've not had, especially with commercial aircraft that are always in the air, we've never had situations where we had to lose anybody or we experienced plane crash since 2012. Was 2012 not the last before this year? Dana. So, does it mean now that are we at the point where commercial aircraft or private aircraft are now being maintained better than government aircraft that have so much budgets behind them? So I don't understand, but then I still maintain that it's a lot more suspicious. There's probably a lot more sinister stuff going on there in the Air Force.
But in your own opinion, what do you think happened to the COS?
I would not want to draw conspiracy theory. It's unprofessional to do that right now, especially on air. But I do not think it is a coincidence. I don't know if he was killed. I wouldn't say he was killed. That would be too much to say. But then I think it wasn't natural. Of course, anyway, no death is natural. But I don't think it was a coincidence.
Okay. Hey, Oqua.
Like Houston said, I'll use this opportunity, although I didn't do it on Twitter, I'll use this opportunity to commiserate with his family and join the rest of the country to mourn his loss and whatnot. But
and the other 10 officers as well.
Yeah, and the other 10 officers. I feel like there's a lot that has not been said. I feel like, once again, body language should lead the headlines.
Do you think there's a lot that has not been said, or you think there's a lot that will never be said?
Probably never. So Houston has covered the long and short of everything that's happened with respect to the crash. So yeah, only God knows when we'll hear the details of what has happened or what happened to the former Chief of Army Staff. But government is a continuum, so we have to move forward.
But do you think the government coming out to say, okay, bad weather, does that make them look good or make them look bad? Coming to say bad weather. Because when you come out to say bad weather, we expect before a plane takes off, there are experts that actually look at the weather to determine whether this plane should take off or not. When Kobe Bryant died, there were reports that came out later, that said the pilot was actually asked not to fly, but he still flew. We don't have that kind of communication in Nigeria, so if you come out and tell us, okay, it was bad weather, who ordered the plane to move? despite the bad weather.
I think that bad weather was just supposed to come out and then people swallow it and then we move on with our lives. You understand? So this is top brass of the military. Yeah. The military is known for precision. Forget whatever state they've fallen into because of poor management from the top and whatnot. But the military is still one of the last few standing institutions in Nigeria where things have to be done right. You understand? So if you think about the whole chain of command, it is your chief of army staff who is flying. It is, everything has to be kept pristine. Listen, my dad used to tell me about when he was a trainee. Was it trainee? What do they call it now? Officer, an airman, you understand? No, an officer, yeah. That if they were at the parade and they guessed that the plane that was going above the parade was the chief of air staff, they will keep still everywhere until that plane finishes flying over them. You understand? That's how,
Army.
That's how the military, the armed forces operate. You understand? So for you to hear that this is not a private, a private or a passenger
and
plane.
And the plane carrying the chief of army staff.
Exactly. So I think we may never get to learn the long and short stories of what happened.
With this happened.
Yeah.
Anyway, so President Muhammad Buhari and Vice President Yemi Osibanjo were unsurprisingly, in my opinion, absent at the funeral of the late COAS. But the president received the most backlash, for refusing, because nobody cared whether the vice president was not really there. So they really cared whether the president was there, and the president failed to attend. So later the spokesman for the president came out and he blamed it on the president's love for the people. According to Garba Shehu, he said that if the president had come out, there would be too much commotion, in the city, in the streets of Abuja. We have never really seen Buhari move, though. Like back in the days, you will know when Olusegun Obasanjo wants to pass a certain area. Like they will block certain roads, but it's just for a couple of minutes, not really hours. Then when he's going to the airport, they will block the airport road. Normally, I think that should happen in most countries because the president is going on an official whatever, but I don't think I've ever seen or heard that this president is about to go from here to here on the road. He doesn't even go to the mosque, but Garba Shehu came out to say that this is the reason he doesn't even go to Central Mosque on Friday. He would rather pray at the Aso Rock Villa because too many people love him too much that if he comes out, there's going to be too much commotion, so he did not want to cause any commotion. So he decided not to come out. I have to look at this thing very technically. Looking at a country like America or other countries, your head of the army, I believe their presidential activities or there's a presidential role that the president ought to play at that burial ceremony. I don't know, why did Buhari not think it worthy enough for him to be there? Or why do his advisors not think it worthy enough for him to be there? Or, am I wrong? Does the president actually need to be there?
I think when you look at what the president has said over a period of time, whenever we have lost our military men, you hear him say they had paid the ultimate sacrifice. Now, I don't care what his handlers tell him, but as a general, I've been talking about this on this show that for a bit, Buhari has not looked like a general at all. I don't want to give into conspiracy theories about whether he's the one who is there or he's not the one who is there. There are certain things that spark in your body as they say, once a soldier, always a soldier. You understand? There are certain things that come to you. Now, you want to tell me now that on January 15th, when you go to lay wreath, that will be more important than honoring the final prayers or the final rites of your chief of army staff who died. If he was not picked if you had not tapped him to fill in that position, he wouldn't be there. Do you understand? He'll probably be with his wife who was seen openly crying and was inconsolable at the mosque. You understand? Now, listen, sir, I think for a long time, Buhari has checked out on us. We are the ones who are covered in all this belief that we have a president who is there, no, Buhari does not care about all of it. He's in his retirement age, peak of it. Do you understand? After office by 2023, it's downhill for him from there. Do you understand? So I think Buhari wants to draw the maximum out of what he's doing. So that's all he's interested in. Whoever soldier comes, soldier go, the barrack remains the same to him.
Oh, Mr. Houston, let me just remind that this is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. So he just lost his next man. And he doesn't deem it fit to normal. They come up with excuses and excuses upon excuses.
If you say he lost his next man, I wonder. I think he made up for it with sending the chief of defense staff who came there to make a lot of blunder. Anyway, that's by the way. Firstly, I do not really understand how important it was for the president to show up, but with the excuse that was being thrown out to the public by the special assistant.
Why you don't think it's important?
Yeah, I don't think it's important. I think there's certain duties that the president ought to. As a matter of fact, to be very honest, I'm not trying to be insensitive here. When I heard the news, I almost shed a tear because I was really touched because this
I was here editing on Friday, and
this is somebody I told you I root for. If you remember our past episodes, I was one of the first people to say on this podcast here. I said, let's give him some time.
Yeah.
I believed in him. I don't know why. I saw him as somebody who was gallant enough and serious enough to tackle the security challenges we are still encountering in the country. So I was rooting for him a lot, but then I was expecting that. First of all, we've lost a whole lot of people. If you see how the news was put out there to the public, it was like the media houses or people really didn't care so much about the other people that were on board the ill-fated flight. At the same time, it still goes to show you how the presidency sees the rest of Nigeria. This is just him trying to explain this in. This is him trying to explain his absence with regards to every other death that's been going on in the country and every other problem, security challenges we've been experiencing in the country. This is him using this same avenue now to explain how much empathy he has towards the Nigerian people. Now, I'm not now looking at the person or the position or the portfolio of the chief of staff. I'm looking at the chief of staff now as a human being. First of all, the president didn't attend. Yeah, I mean, how many times has he sympathized with all the deaths going on in the country?
Chief of staff, chief of army staff as a human being.
I'm coming.
We're dealing with offices.
We're dealing with offices.
Yeah.
We are dealing with offices. He might as well send his wife or anybody there. But what we should look at, first of all, there's nuance to this whole argument. I'm not supporting and I'm not for him at the same time. I'm not for him. At the same time, I'm also not endorsing the fact that the president had to be there.
Yeah.
When Yaradua passed, Goodluck Jonathan wasn't there, but he sent his wife. His wife was there at Yaradua's funeral.
Was he in the country?
Goodluck Jonathan was in the country. Yes, he was in the country, but he wasn't there. But there were reasons for that. Security experts actually explained that. They said he needs a 48-hour clearance for that. And knowing that the ex-president, Yaradua, the late president, was a Muslim, he had to be buried immediately. So there was no room for that 48-hour security clearance. So you wouldn't knock the president down for not coming out. But then he sent his wife to represent him. His wife was, if you look at the videos, you'll see his wife crying next to us, sympathizing with the late president's wife, the late president's widow, Tura Yaradua. So I was expecting them to explain the same thing to us as why the president didn't show up until Garbashew, who clearly has been representing himself, has been speaking for himself and not the president.
No, he's been speaking for the presidency.
Actually, I think, what's his name? Governor Akeredolu came out recently to say we should disregard everything. I believe Akeredolu. We've had this over and over.
But nobody has come up from the presidency and said that this man is not speaking on behalf of the presidency. He's the spokesman of the president.
Mr. Sal, do you understand that everybody in that presidency...
So let's not deviate anyway.
I'm not deviating. They all have their jobs.
Everyone came up and
everyone in the presidency have their job. They have what they do. And lately, there's one job all of them have in common, and it's damage control, as we all know. So they come out and talk. It's just sometimes when you're trying to control the damage and you're causing more damage, like the excuse Garbashew will put out there, it wasn't enough. It wasn't good enough excuse. If you tell me the president couldn't come out because he needed a 48-hour clearance, it will have made a lot of sense. So on this note, I would actually I would actually not endorse the president for not coming. He could have come if that was the only excuse they had, that he didn't want to cause commotion because he cared about the people. So what I would say basically, to sum this whole thing up, I think the president cared less and he externalized this in his actions for not coming out. At the same time, I think it will also be penitent for the president to use the time, whatever time he could have used to come out, to use that time to tackle the other challenges we have in the country. Because, man, I just don't really know at this point. I really don't know what the president really cares about. Because clearly, I think the president is the most. I think he's the most comfortable citizen right now in the country. He's so comfortable that so many things don't matter to him right now. So I really can't even speak for him. I don't even know at this point.
Anyway, Oqua, anything to add to this? Just move on.
Yeah.
So President Buhari on Thursday appointed Major General Farouk Yahaya as the new Chief of Army Staff. Major General Yahaya was a former general officer commanding one division of the Nigerian Army, as well as the incumbent theater commander of the counter-terrorism, counter-insurgency military outfit in the Northeast, codenamed Operation Hadin Kai. Did I pronounce that thing right?
Hadin Kai.
Hadin Kai.
Yeah.
So, what are you guys' thoughts on the appointment of Major General Farouk Yahaya as the new Chief of Army Staff? I know there's some people crying out there to say there was a next in command who was an Igbo man or who is an Igbo man, you know, and the president had to cut down to another Northern Muslim as new COAS. Do we talk about this or do we just focus on competency?
I think as far as competency will go, we can't even put our finger on anything really, because there isn't much that is being communicated with respect to. The only thing that we know so far about our new Chief of Army Staff is that he cracks jokes and he speaks Spanish. What is that going to help?
On his CV?
You know, what is that? How is that going to help? Do you understand?
But why did they? And that was released by a presidential aide as well. Why did they feel the need to put this kind of? And we have serious insecurity going on in the country.
Mediocrity.
You know, you didn't put up something that would give the people hope that, we have chosen a man of this caliber that we trust we do this and do that.
You think it's just Buhari who is coming, who speaks, and then we suddenly feel like as if he's not living in this country? His aides are not living in this country.
Yeah.
We meet them on social media. When we engage with them, you see what they give us. Yes. So it's not new. I'm not surprised. I just hope that I saw a video of his boys really hailing when they announced that he had become the Chief of Army Staff, and they looked for you to see young soldiers hailing like that, then it means that there's something in there. I just hope that can translate to the national spread that we need, because we're not just looking at the Northeast. He's in charge of one division, he's fighting the Northeast and whatnot, but we have other security threats that are almost as important as that insurgency that we'll need him to face. He will have to have that tact, he will have to have that presence of mind, you understand, to navigate certain things that are going to come up, you get, because he's coming in now. If God spares his life, he's going to be the one who will see us all through to the end of this administration, you understand, as Chief of Army Staff. So there are things that we would need to see from him going forward. There are things that we hope to see for this country going forward. So I just hope that General Yahaya has that in here.
I think just like the president, the army chief at this point in time, because we're dealing with insecurity so much, you know, that is clearly dividing us. I think he has the power to bring us together as well.
Yes, sir. He does.
He should not forget that, because they criticized the late one for that as well. I think the people of the Southeast did not really like him. They complained that he was sending troops to attack them and stuff. You know, because I feel like there are other ways. You know, we have to use wisdom right now to handle whatever is going on. It's not just tat for tat. You know, we have to find wisdom. So I pray this one actually has wisdom to bring us together, because there's so much divide right now. Houston, what do you think about the disappointment of the new COAS? What do you expect from him as well?
there's reason for following hierarchy when it comes to appointment, especially in a time like this where a lot of people in this country, a particular ethnic extraction, seem to be very disgruntled due to the incessant lopsided appointment that's been made by the presidency, which is one of the reasons for the call for secession in the country right now. But clearly, the comfortable president, the most comfortable man in Nigeria, doesn't really care about what we're talking about. He doesn't really care about all of these things. And let me tell you, just have that at the back of your mind that the president has only fueled every problem we're having right now. He has only fueled it. You don't bring out money to solve problems when you can actually solve these problems by logic. You let a lot of disgruntled people remain like that, and just when an opportunity comes out for you to actually right your wrong, you're going about the same thing again. Anyway, I don't speak for insurgents in the South, so I can't really speak for that, but I just want you to know that even before the late Chief of Staff embarked on Operation Restore Peace in the East, in the Southeast, they had the meeting and there was no single representative from the Igbo extraction. There was no single representative from the Southeast in that meeting.
There's never been since Buhari came to power.
So I'm not even surprised that the president will skip somebody from that particular ethnic extraction and appoint some other person from the north with poor knowledge of the area. Meanwhile, when it comes to tackling insurgency in Borno State, he will appoint a Borno man like Buratai. Anyway, it's not for me to say.
But
The chief of army staff.
He skipped other people though.
Oh, he skipped other people, because the person, the man from Anambra State, I've forgotten his name, the major general from Anambra State, is said to be of the same brigade as the late chief of army staff.
Yeah.
They were all from the 35th Corps, 35th regular corps. So anyway, that's their problem. General Yaya, before they put up his profile and the fact that he could speak Spanish and all that, all I know and all I remember about him was when he managed counterinsurgency, and he still has lots of allegations in the Niger Delta where I was that he took bribe to bombard Baramatu community. I just hope that's not the case. I hope it's as clean as it comes, because what the South needs right now is somebody who understands the terrain. And since he has a little experience with the South or with working in the South, I wish him only the best to be able to handle counterinsurgency and anti-secessionist clamor in the Southeast. I wish him all the best. Finally, I think that the president, clearly, from my opinion, is not really interested in solving the problem of insecurity. Yahaya should take this as a personal, he should take it as a personal course to handle it. We're not looking at the presidency at this point.
Are you alleging right now?
I'm not alleging. I don't want to put alleged, because see, you're seeing this thing.
But you don't know the mind.
Listen, brother, I'll explain this thing to you. Yeah. Why I'm here I'm trying to admonish Yahaya is everybody, or close to 70% of the people who spoke at the funeral of the last chief of army staff, the late chief of army staff, said he had plans to end insurgency in Nigeria, to end insecurity in Nigeria. He was on the verge. Even the previous one, Buratai, came there and said, or made a statement and said he regrets the death of the late chief of army staff because he was at the verge of curbing insecurity that he couldn't curb. Anyway, I'm only asking that Yahaya should also move in with that same General Yahya should move in with that same motivation and try to bring an end to insurgency, because with every approach that they've used in recent time, I'm partly from Imo State, you bombarded Olu. Olu was never as radical as the Northeast. Let's kick the ballistics here. You sent air jets and all the, what do you call them? You sent your blitzkrieg, you went there and you're shooting with choppers and all of that. I've never known the Southeast to be that restive that you would go and start shooting and all that. But if you think it was actually the best approach and that was how he was trying to end it, well, I'm really also admonishing this one to not to tread carefully and not further aggrieve the people of the Southeast, and just tread with wisdom, since he's somebody who also knows that area. I'm just basically trying to admonish him because, the best I can give him right now is my support. The sad incident with the late chief of staff is everybody's concern, and I sympathize with the family, and I am just using this as a medium of admonition to admonish the incoming one. I can only give him my support, but clearly the president hasn't really handled it the best way. An Igbo man will understand the Igbo terrain better.
Okay, but we're not just looking at the southeast. We're looking at the entire region of Nigeria. Anyway, we wish Major General Farouk Yahaya the best. We hope for the best. Nigerians are optimistic. Please do not let us down. So moving on. Ahmed Isah, popularly known as Ordinary President, was caught on video again physically assaulting a grown man. That's the host of Bracket Family Human Rights Show.
Yeah, Human Rights Radio.
Yeah, I don't watch it, so you guys forgive me. Yeah, so in the video on Sarah TV's YouTube page, Ordinary President was seen giving the young man a very hot slap while answering questions posed to him by Ahmed Isah. So Henry Oqua, you were telling me earlier that that's an old video, yeah? The new video that surfaced of him slapping the man. Is that a recent? Is that a video that came after he had slapped? Okay, you were the one telling me earlier. But did that video come after he had slapped the girl?
That video wasn't even this year.
So it was not this year.
It wasn't even this year.
So this has been happening behind the scene anyway. That's why I brought it up, because we talked about this thing last week, and you guys spoke very highly of him. We felt like that was the first time he had committed a blunder, and you guys said he should be forgiven, and if he has to face whatever consequences, he should face it, but we should really forgive him because of what he does for the people, because even when this second video came up, I was reading comments on the blog page where I saw it, and many Nigerians were still speaking very highly of him, and I was confused, and I'm like, this guy must really be something to you people. They didn't care if he slapped somebody, if he didn't slap anybody, they didn't give a damn at all. They were really for him. They felt he should be forgiven. They felt the guy that was slapped deserved to be slapped safe. You know the way our people can be. So then it's today or yesterday, NBC suspended the radio show and the radio program that he does. So I just brought this to find out what you guys think about this, especially the response from NBC.
Okay, so I'm just going to breeze through that very quickly. First of all, I think comments that you see on social media are more than ever in Nigeria's social media space is being directly manipulated. So we shouldn't even bother with what comments we are seeing and how many people are in support and how many people are against, because I think everybody has come to understand that once you have a controversy on social media, a certain group of people, and they'll put your own narrative out there and all of that. Now, I've not changed my opinion about Ahmed Isah, Ordinary President. This is because I've been able to see how his show has helped people get justice that would otherwise not be available to them. You understand? However, as I said last episode as well, Ahmed Isah must lead exemplarily. Yeah. If you are called the ordinary president, show your ordinary people how they should be. They should be accountable and responsible for their actions. Anything that comes up as punitive measures against Ahmed Isah, I believe he should humbly accept it, do whatever penance there is, and if there is a way for him to come back after that and continue that work, because people need him to continue that work. Where government has become more alienated from, where people have become more alienated from government and all of that, we need this kind of bridge, these bridge builders, you understand, that can still help some people. Because when a woman whose livelihood is to sell akara, when she can get some form of justice, you know that the whole world has not turned upside down.
This is a shame on the government, though, because somebody messaged me on Instagram defending the guy. And the thing I said to him, and I'm like, if we had a government, if we had a system that actually works, we will not need him, We will not need him for people to be defending him, physically assaulting people. For people to accept you committing a crime or bringing harm to somebody, for people to defend it, because despite comments being manipulated still, there are people, just like you said right now, rely on this man for whatever justice. It's a shame on the society.
It is an indictment
on the government, not the society.
I agree with you.
Mr. Houston.
Mm-hmm.
What's your take? Does your stance, your stance of last week? Because last week you were very.
First of all, I would like to correct the notion
Yeah.
with this video. It's actually the first video, not the second one. He criticized Sahara Reporters on Tuesday, and Sahara Reporters posted an old video on Wednesday. The baby cried, the witch cried in the night, the baby died in the morning. It's simple. Just like Henry rightly said.
Social media doesn't mean anything.
Wait,
the video is there. Doesn't mean anything.
I actually don't know how to talk when you're talking, but I answer shall.
Yeah, but does it mean anything? That's my counter question. You bring in the fact that, okay, they brought a bad that you have done. You have done it bad already.
I'm answering you now. Wait, I'm answering
Yeah, but go though. Yeah.
First of all, the social media community aren't the judge. They aren't the judge of whatever anybody does outside social media. Secondly, Ordinary Ahmed Musa, after the second video or after the second incident, checked himself into rehab. Just in case you don't know, he checked himself into rehab. He's already registered for sessions. And
How did you know?
Because I follow his show. He even called the head of the rehab on his show and said, "This is what I'm going to do. This is what I've chosen to do," and apologized. So I don't know if
What
there's
is he
much
fixing in the rehab? What's the fix? What's the there for?
anger management. He's going in for anger
so
management.
He has anger.
Yeah, he has
issues.
anger management. And just in case you think he has not done so much, or if you criticize him for just, 2 flaws. I don't know.
We have seen though.
Well, just I think you should also take into consideration. You should take cognizance of the work
Did
he
you
does.
watch? Did you watch
Cameroonians,
the video?
are-
Did you watch the
Cameroonians
video?
are- I watched every single video, and
Yeah,
I will not knock
yeah.
a man who speaks for voiceless people.
No.
for
Houston, wait.
2
If you watch
videos
that
of-
video, no, it's not matter of, and like this second video.
he has checked himself into a rehab. What do you want him to do
I
again?
watched the conversation. Why are you slapping? You can easily
Okay,
just.
let me explain to you. Since you want me to talk, I'm really calm today. But since you want me to talk, I'll explain to you.
Go.
Listen,
Why are you slapping?
ordinary Ahmed Isah experiences things. He has his challenges that he experiences outside his anger issues. He has some extra challenges he experiences on his show. If you listen to his show very often, which I am usually very private to, I listen to some of the shows and I see the things he says. People come with their genuine problems, and you see some other people outside making money from these people without without the people, the original owners of this show knowing what's happening. They ask people, write down your name, get me a list, pay so amount. People make money with his name on his behalf.
You
Wait.
slap instead of
Wait,
arresting.
no, wait. Things happen. And this thing gets to spoil his name. People try to tarnish this man's name anyhow. Do you understand? Now, these things happen. I'm not advocating physical actions or going, using your hands to slap people and all that, violence. No, I will never do that. But I'm trying to tell you that, first of all, this man is human. We are forgiving worse people in this country because we believe that they can change. Now, Ordinary Ahmed Isah, the first time I said we should forgive him, and when this video came out, the second video came out, even though it's an old incident, I'm saying, okay, this man has anger issues. But just before I even came to that conclusion, he himself realized and checked himself. And he says it even today. If you listen to his show today, on Friday, this morning, he said he has anger issues. He wasn't joking about it. He has checked himself. He repeated it again, and it was yesterday he checked himself.
Did he need the videos to come out before he could realize that he had anger issues?
Sometimes as humans, you need certain people to also tell you things before you know that you actually have these problems. You might be doing something and it's so normal to you. It is just innocuous as far as you see it. You think this thing is harmless, I'm just doing it. But when people tell you, that's what they call teachability. When you know that you can actually be out of your humility, you know, I can actually be taught. And you take correction. He has taken the correction and has checked himself inside. Right now, you're sounding Mr. Sal like somebody who wants to witch hunt him. Like you have a personal problem with him. You should cut the man some slack. He's been called in Kenya. People all over Africa. See, Africa, they called Shehu Kuti described Nigeria as the biggest crime scene in the world. Africa experiences daily. We experience human rights abuses daily, and there's nobody to speak for people. Now, this is one person speaking for people.
Violating people's human rights. Do you see the contradiction?
He's violating people's human rights.
Yeah.
He comes back to make recompense for all of these things he's doing.
Do
the
the
other
other
people,
people not come
your
back?
government that violates human rights, what do they do? Do they show any form of recompense for all of those things they do? Please cut the man some slack.
No, Houston, you said he's helping
He has
people
checked
with
himself.
human rights, wherever.
He has checked himself into rehab.
But
We should all relax and let this man leave, please.
No, the thing I want to say though, I hear whatever you have said, but but I think we should get ourselves as a people to a place, where we don't just accept whatever is available and see it as the best. Because that's what I see people do. Oh, we don't have this, we don't have that. Then you get this that is not really the best, and we should jump up and thank God. I don't think so, man. Like, call bad at any point in time, call good at any point in time. You're not doing me a favor if you're helping me sort out my human rights issue. If you want to do it, do it. If you don't want to do it,
I didn't say you shouldn't pay for what you did. But if, first of all, he came out and it takes a man to come out and give a public apology, especially in a country with proud people like Nigerians. It takes a real man to come out and apologize for his wrong deeds.
Let's move
now
on.
He came out and apologized for this. He has checked himself into rehab.
I don't think
he believes he has acknowledged the fact that he has anger management issues. What else now? You want to tie him rope? First of all, last week you said you don't know this man.
I don't know him though, but me, I think something for me, I don't like when I see people maltreated. So the residents of the southern and northern parts of Kaduna State have agreed to split the state into two as a means of guaranteeing lasting peace among the people. For those that do not know, Christians dominate the southern part of Kaduna, while the Hausas and Fulani Muslims dominate the northern part of the state. Oqua, am I correct?
Yeah.
All right. Speaking during the presentation and defense of their memos, both of them presented memos, at the Senate Ad Hoc Committee and House of Representatives Special Committee on the Review of the 1999 Constitution, both sides stressed that creating new states from the present Kaduna State would go a long way in curbing the bloody violence that seems to defy every solution, and therefore called on the National Assembly to amend the Constitution to allow for the creation of new states. Oqua.
Yes, sir.
I brought this up mostly because of you. But you grew up in Kaduna.
Yes.
Yeah, you grew up there. You're not from there. So he's not from Kaduna, even if he's only saying ba, ba, ba. Yeah. So what do you think about this new proposal? They're calling on National Assembly to amend the Constitution to let's go our separate ways. They think that will be the solution because there have been a lot of killings in southern Kaduna for years. So these are the people coming out right now to say this is what we think. This is the solution. Do you think this is the solution, Oqua?
Yes, I think this has been on the cards for a while, on the table for a while. This is a conversation that happened in 1996, 97, I think, when Abacha was creating the additional 6 states. Yeah, the move was to create, I think, the Kauru state out of Kaduna State. That's the southern part, and tensions have built up to this point where it looks as if every other day is a killing bonanza in southern Kaduna. I think already in the capital of the city, that divide has become clearer. You understand? Christians, so to speak, are at the southern part of the Kaduna State capital. Yeah. And in the northern part, you have more Muslims. You understand? This division has been on since before the Sharia riots of 2000, 2001. You understand? So I think for both of them, for both sides to come together and say, listen, this is the only solution, I think we've even gotten somewhere. Maybe Nigeria can look at what is happening in Kaduna and learn a thing or two about how to bring settlement to the table and how to agree on settlement. I just wonder what is going to happen with Southern Kaduna, being that over the years, government has one way or the other prioritized developments in the northern part of Kaduna State. So it means that the southern part of Kaduna State will not be starting from the same level with the northern parts. You understand? You already have the northern part. Zaria falls into the northern part. We have Zaria, we have Nuhu Bamali Polytechnic. That I'm trying to call academic institutions now. ABU Zaria, Nuhu Bamali Polytechnic, the School of Aviation, SBRS, and what do you have? All of them are concentrated. Well. Yes, the airport is also in the northern part of the Kaduna metropolis itself. You get so there's a lot of development that has gone on in those areas, and I think the South will have to, we'll see again as well.
Do you think the South was intentionally ignored in terms of development?
Yes, Sal. The truth about it is, if you remember the minutes from the Honorable Minister for Information, if you remember the minutes from his alleged meeting, but his meeting that we saw on online, you understand, where he presided. You remember some of the things that he stated then, and that was when Yakowa was in charge, was the governor of Kaduna State. Yakowa is from the south, he's a Christian, you understand. There were lots of things that were said in there. They were afraid that Yakowa coming would make those developments that over time had been concentrated in the northern part of Kaduna to now be moved to the southern part of Kaduna. I believe that there was even an issue with the Kaduna State University, you understand, before it moved to where it is currently. You get, so there's always been that dynamic, and I feel like any state that is divided like that will always have that issue.
Yeah. So I'm just thinking, like, if they go ahead to create these two new states, it's not like when you create a state in Nigeria, everybody just stays in their state. At some point, we still need to mix up.
Yeah.
So if they cannot stay together, so what's the living condition going to be like there?
When they now
are they going to have very strict boundaries where don't cross?
No, I think
Yeah.
what the people of the South are actually after, I think their interest could be slightly different from the interest of people in the northern part who had the same submission with them. I think what the South wants is to be able to control their security apparatus themselves. They want someone who is from their side, who will speak, who will understand where they're coming from and try as much as possible to do his best, because you can tell from what has been happening that the southern part of the state does not feel like the current administration has done enough to protect them. Do you understand? So many times they've gone for their town hall meetings and the thing has ended up in chaos and whatnot. The killings have not stopped, over time. So I feel like what they want is an executive in place for their own state that will now be held responsible. Let's assume that the people from the northern part of the state have done all that they can. Let the people from the south now determine their own security and their own source of livelihood by themselves.
Okay. And you were talking about development. You were talking about them feeling left backwards, and they have to start from here. Why these guys have gone further?
So you see,
I look at it as an advantage. That's what I want to say, because I think they have a platform. If they do get a state, where they could actually map out something and design a great state for themselves.
Yeah, I think
so.
that's why I think that Nigeria can learn one or two things from Kaduna State. If Kaduna can get it right, it means Nigeria can get it right. It means restructuring can actually be birthed in Nigeria. We can have a new republic, you understand, where certain things are done very rightly, but you cannot remove southern Kaduna from the rest of Nigeria. Do you understand? The people who are there are Nigerians. Some of them are in top positions. Some of them have been in top positions for years before now. You understand? Now, it is the same mentality that we have. Now, I wish that southern Kaduna was starting like the way, if you've ever been to Kaduna, the way the Kaduna metropolis is, that's the best that you have in anywhere in Kaduna State. Now, that is not good enough if you understand where I'm coming from. Now, where we are looking at dwindling resources, what is the quota that they are going to use to share these places? Because you know already that the number of local governments that you can call under your state, it gives you whatever you're supposed to be. What do they call it? Entitled to from the FAC account. So I think there's still a lot of areas that will still need to be ironed out. I really wish that Southern Kaduna was starting on the same level with Northern Kaduna. I really wish that, but as you said, it's an opportunity for them to show us
it's never
what can really
as long
happen.
as there's going to be peace, though.
Yeah.
Mr. Houston, do you want to add anything to this?
No, I really
The
don't.
Kaduna gist. It's not your gist.
It's not just gist.
Yeah. So the 2021 World Population Review of the World Bank has rated Nigeria as the richest African country with a gross domestic product, that's GDP, of $514 billion. The ranking comes despite the spate of insecurity, high rate of inflation, unemployment, extreme poverty, and recession in the country. And Nigeria is followed by Egypt with $394 billion, South Africa with $329 billion. Algeria with $151 billion. Morocco with $124 billion. Kenya with $106 billion. Ethiopia with $93 billion. Ghana, I really wanted to get to the Ghana one. That's why I'm reading this. Ghana with $74 billion. And Ghana has been getting all the multi-national corporations.
And the headlines that go with that.
Exactly. 74 compared to 514 billion. Anyway, part of the statement from the World Bank reads, it says, Nigeria is the richest and most populous country in Africa. The country's large population of 211 million is a likely contributor to its large DGP. Nigeria is a middle income, mixed economy, and emerging market with growing financial, service, communications, and technology sectors. So, looking at the reality we have, there's high cost of everything right now. There's extreme poverty in Nigeria. And these guys are saying we are the richest country in Africa. Mr. Histe, what's your take on this report from the World Bank Population Review 2021 review?
So I really do not know how they came up with all of those figures for Nigeria, especially because just like you rightly said, the high rate of poverty in Nigeria.
Yeah.
My brother, I don't know if these guys were calculating Dangote's revenues or they were calculating the population, they were calculating the number of people in place of money, or they were calculating the number of Yahoo boys we have. Honestly speaking, I don't know how they came up with those figures.
You say Yahoo boys.
I don't know how they came up with those figures, but I completely disagree with all of that because I know Nigeria has been rich and the people have always been poor, but we are at a point that we've never attained in this level. Just yesterday, the naira got to 500 to a dollar. So, and you're giving us this kind of thing in the same week. I don't understand. I don't know who they're trying to impress.
But does the poverty in the country, does it take away the fact that the country is rich? Because I don't think so. I think Nigeria is a rich country. I think there's a lot of money here.
Actually, it does take. If you take cognizance of the reduction in the price of oil, international oil price, and how much we haven't been exporting in recent time, unlike the past. Also, you consider the inflation rate in Nigeria and how the naira has actually fallen over time, and our external reserves. The naira got to $500 because we lost over $1 billion in our external reserves. So when you look at all these things, I really do not know who they're trying to impress with all of those figures because I find, I'm not an economist, but I find it very difficult to understand. It's not like it has ever been with our budgets. Before now, we had budgets that ran into billions, and now our budgets are running into trillions, and they're still talking about padding and all that.
We have to borrow.
And we have to borrow, exactly. Only this year, we've borrowed like twice. So between last year and this year, we've borrowed like 3 times. And we're still looking to borrow again. So how do they, these are purported figures if you ask me. I don't know how they come up with these things.
Hey, Oqua, what do you think about the report?
I remember when the administration before this one was rounding up, so to speak. And then I think a year before the elections, Nigeria rebased its economy and became bigger than South Africa. Basically, what we did was to recalculate sectors that were not involved in the last calculation to realize what the value of the Nigerian economy really was. Now, the what do they call it? GDP is more like your total assets during a period. So when they say your GDP is 500 and something billion, it's just like saying South's assets are worth so and so amount. You understand? Does this translate to whether South's children go to the best schools? Not necessarily. It does not indicate that. It should, it should. Now, it does not necessarily indicate that. We also have to understand that Nigeria's economy is highly reliant on crude oil exports. If crude oil ticks up, Nigeria's GDP, the value of our assets ticks up as well. I think what is most important, a figure that Nigerians should look at more closely, is the GDP per capita Do you understand? That's when they look at your population and what you have, and then they break it down and say, okay, this is what the value of one person's. Now, that's the value of the country. If it was going to be invested in one person, this is what it will be. Now, when you look at that, the figure is very, very crazy. Nigeria is about 135.
But does that figure still mean anything? Because when you do that calculation and you look at the reality on ground, where most of the monies, the funds in the country are in very few hands, what does that now mean?
So that's what GDP does for you. If you look at this, if you look at the European countries, it is when you calculate GDP, and then you calculate it per capita. That's where you see the true wealth. When you say a country is rich, but you're putting it, that's in economics. GDP is not something that people look up to and say, no, GDP is at this. No, people don't think about that. They look at it more as GDP per capita. So it means that if the government is supposed to spend on healthcare, security, education, and blah 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 for one person, this is the amount that the government can likely spend on that person for those particular services. Now, where Nigeria has the assets in terms of crude oil exports, size of the market, the sheer size of our population. That's the reason why they tout. You see, they always put our GDP side by side with our population. At 211, Nigeria by 2030 is expected to be the most populous country in the world. Do you understand? Now, at that rate, it means that whatever you come to sell in Nigeria, you will find a market for it. You understand? So that's all that it means to the common man on the street. Otherwise, it is still the money in the same hands and the inequality gap widening as...
Yeah, but at the end
but even the money in the same hands, it's not like it used to be a year ago, 2 years ago, and
no
the
doubt,
past.
No doubt.
I mean, this is recently where the government had to start printing naira and all of that. So I do not understand this.
What did they even still print naira for themselves?
So let me just shed a bit more light on this. In serious countries, you come with your GDP figures, you come with your population figures, you come with your projections for several years ahead to tell investors that, listen, we have the space for you to come and invest. Nigeria, when was the last time that Nigeria went anywhere purposefully? Look at the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. We bottled it. You understand?
And we have a lot of investors leaving as well.
And then there are those that will not even look at us. So I don't think that in the grand scheme of things, this GDP
to me, it doesn't count.
Size,
if you are sitting now in the houses and
the quality of life is still terrible.
So basically, what was being calculated is just the projection.
No, what was being calculated is what the value of the things that Nigeria sold and bought last year. Do you understand? So when you finish...
Last year, economically, last year was one of our worst years.
I don't know, these figures are just ridiculous because people are poor, everything is very high, we cannot afford anything, people are losing jobs. People don't even have jobs.
We had ships, we had oil on sea that weren't being sold. So I still don't understand. Like it's.
But that's the report anyway. So whatever this means to anybody. Anyway, the Kano State Commissioner of Police, Samaila Diko, on Wednesday said that all Fulani herdsmen entering the state, that's Kano State, henceforth, must get a clearance from the police command of the state where they are coming from, to Kano. So addressing journalists shortly after an emergency security meeting with the heads of security agencies in the state, Diko said that any Fulani herdsman that enters Kano State without a clearance would be turned back immediately. He stated that the decision is part of the security arrangements that have been made by the command in a bid to maintain peace and security in the state. Mr. Houston, what did you think about this when you saw this, though?
Clearly, it's speaking for itself.
I was shocked.
That's the double standard we experience in this country.
Yeah, like I was actually very shocked.
So even the Kano security architecture is scared of people infiltrating. Yeah. They fear infiltration,
and there was so much cry for the ban on open grazing by the southern state governors, and these ones didn't even have to consider or even
And do you understand? Do you know what this is?
Yeah.
The smallest state by landmass in Nigeria is supposed to be Anambra State. The states in the southeast are so small that about 4 states in the southeast, and this is not me exaggerating, about 4 states in the southeast, Anambra, Imo, Enugu, and one of the Abia states can actually fit comfortably in Kano.
Wow.
Yes. So if some people tell you that this is their problem and you fight them for not allowing your cows or your people or people you sympathize with roam freely in their region, and you are actually scared. So clearly what it means is these guys actually chase their people out to go. Take these things down south. Take your problem down south. Don't bring it to us. So they're actually scared of infiltration. It's crazy, man. I really don't have much to say about this, but I'm glad this is coming from the Kano Police Command, because this will only make the southern, not necessarily southern governors, it will only make the southerners a lot more aggressive with their approach to repel these people, because that's only what we can actually do in the south.
Let me read exactly what the guy said so that the, people get the words from the Kano State Police Command. They said there must be a sort of letter showing that they are coming to Kano State from that state. That's the state that they're coming from. And they say, so anyone who comes without a clearance from our police formations from the state they are coming from will definitely be stopped and turned back to where they came from. And it goes on to say, we will not accept anybody coming here illegally. We may not know the kind of persons they are. They may be criminals, they may be bandits or other bad people. So we will not accept it here. When this came out, before this came out, when the ban on open grazing came out, we had the AGF that came out to cite Section 41 of the 1999 Constitution. We had the presidency that came out to shout freedom of movement, citing the Constitution, movement of persons. There, many SANs cleared them and said, no, the southern governors were banning animals. Here we have a clear situation where the Kano State government is clearly banning freedom of movement of human beings. Yeah, they didn't come to say, come with cattle. They say any herdsman coming, bring clearance. That's, to me, infringing the fundamental human rights of freedom of movement in the country. But the thing I want to ask you, there's no outcry. I've not seen any backlash. No group has come out to condemn. The presidency has not spoken. Everybody has gone quiet. Because
our solutions have to come from us. Do you understand? If we are having issues with military formations being attacked in the southeast or wherever it is, the people who identify as leaders of those groups must stand and say, this is wrong, this must be done right.
Yeah, but that's what the southern governors do now.
So the thing now is, it's like your child cannot be punished by another person outside. I have to flog my child myself. That's basically what you're saying.
Yeah, but if your child is in my house, though.
Exactly. I get your point. So basically where I'm going with this is, I wish we had gotten here sooner. If you see the progression of how we've been trying to cover this issue, we started with Funam. You remember when they gave the ultimatum, and then we went on to the bill that was that the Senate was trying to pass, and how I said it could help put some kind of structure in here. I think the northern leaders are beginning to realize that we cannot continue to hide behind this is their nature. They're beginning to realize that. You understand? Now, they're beginning to realize as well that while they think they can defend every Fulani person, every Fulani herdsman, every attacker, not all of them are theirs. Do you understand? Now, if you live in denial about that, eventually it will become your problem at home. You understand? Because once all the southern states start to say you can't do that here, you can't do it, they have to go back where they can do that. And if you don't have genuine people in those groups, as you have claimed that those people are genuine people, if they're not genuine people, it means that all the miscreants are coming back to you as well. You understand? So I think this is just ripe for us to have some form of legislation that regulates this cattle farming from beginning to the end. I think it is ripe for us to have legislation, for us to have a policy in place that says, listen, you can't do this the way you've been doing it. If you do it like this, you are a threat to yourself, you are a threat to us, and you are a threat to other people.
But do you think they're actually right to go about it this way, or do you think they could have, legalized this first? Because this is unconstitutional. If we're looking at the constitution,
it's the same.
Even if nobody's talking about it, though, imagine the Southern. Yeah,
it's the same thing with Nigeria. I think some of our leaders go to bed, they have this fantastic idea, they wake up and then boom, they're on the street, they've announced on the radio and blah blah blah, and it has become like that. You need to understand that for a very long period, Nigeria has been a military state. We are still used to this type of leaders. That's the reason why you hear people say they prefer a dictator to a true democrat, like we did in 2015 and even in 2019.
Yeah.
You understand? So it's the Nigerian nature. Our laws are only useful when they can defend the rich against the poor. Once it is the poor against the rich or any other thing outside of that, it's our laws don't stand. I think to a large extent they'll be able to enforce this because they have the Hisbah. And Hisbah is, what's the word now? It's all over the state. You get all local governments. So it means that even the borders will actually be policed by these guys. And,
This is actually not the first time we're seeing something like this. I remember in 2019, Nasarawa State had to... Then Almajiri was the problem. Nasarawa State had to ship all the Almajiri. They arrested every Almajiri in Nasarawa State and sent them to Kano State. And Kano State had to move them. Kano State woke up one day and said all the Almajiri, loaded all of them inside trucks and shipped them up north again. They stayed so. I think they finally ended up in one of those far northeastern states. So,
but what did that really solve though?
It didn't really solve much, but it was a statement. It was a statement. At least now we know that. Down south we assume everybody sympathizes with the Almajiri system. The Almajiri system is normal, even though the last administration did something good by establishing a school for them. Some people came out and still, didn't want to see the good the president did for them. And at least now we understand that it is not just a southern problem; it's a problem for these people as well. And also, sorry, one more thing. We also have governors in the north now. Governor of Kaduna State sympathizing with the southern governors as well, saying he supports the anti-open grazing. So it's only a matter of time. So I actually would like to congratulate the southern governors because clearly they're setting the pace. They think and the other ones actually follow.
We just hope the presidency, can, or maybe the governors can actually even move without even the presidency.
No, they
can I ask you a favor? Can we talk one day without involving the presidency? Please. Because I do not understand what you mean by the presidency. Okay. I don't think
so. That would mean the president or the presidency is not important to Nigeria again. So we're just going to assume that we don't have a president, we don't have presidency, we just move on like that. Do we even have one?
With all the pressing issues.
Do we even have one though? I think we just keep beating that drum.
Exactly.
We keep beating that drum, hoping that something will
talk, something will sound.
And the guys that come out to represent just drop one, Like Gabashewu came out to even say that no matter the bombing, no matter the insecurity, the killings, the attack on police stations and INEC offices, 2023 elections we still hold. Like
and the most comfortable man came out to tell you that
anyway,
you know where we came from in 2015.
Let's go, man. So the Sultan of Sokoto, Muhammad Saad Abubakar, on Wednesday called on the National Assembly. Nothing was happening, nobody talked about this. Baba called on the National Assembly to regulate the use of the social media rather than banning it in Nigeria. The Sultan stressed that the country can emulate how the use of social media is being controlled in other countries. He said, and I quote, "As lawmakers, what do you do about social media? I am not saying ban social media, but regulate it. We have seen it happen all over the world. Why can Nigeria not borrow from that? It is important for us. And I hope this seminar, blah, 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 blah." Anyway, that's not important. So the Sultan has called for the regulation. I don't know what he means by regulate, because these guys come out and just say these things. When you say regulate, and I don't know what made him call for this. So.
See, people are...
Is there something that happened? Because I could not find anything that happened.
So many people are indirectly... Now, this is the Sultan, so I have to talk respectfully, but I know a lot of people in this country are indirectly trying to turn this country into Pyongyang. They're trying to turn this country into the capital of North Korea, but they do not know how to come out and say it as it is. What is regulating?
Educate the viewers, right?
Yes, I'm actually going to educate the viewers
so that we understand.
They're trying to turn Nigeria into North Korea because in North Korea you have a definite hairstyle. You have about 2 stations there that the public are allowed to watch. You cannot browse more than 3 different sites, and all the sites are being regulated by the government. Literally, the government run your life. That's basically.
Sorry. I just want to ask: do they have Pornhub in North Korea?
No, they don't. They don't have Facebook.
It's as bad as you can't worship any. You can't practice any religion. You must worship.
They don't have Instagram.
You must worship the leader. Yeah.
They don't have.
You worship the supreme leader of North Korea.
What are you doing? I don't.
You bow to him.
No, I just want to know the level, the kind of life that they have.
Last year, a woman was sentenced to jail in North Korea for saving 2 of her children before saving the picture of the leader of North Korea in a burning house. So yes, she rescued her children first, and by the time she came back, the picture of
do you think the South knows what's going on in South Korea?
Sorry?
North Korea.
North Korea, yeah.
Do you think Southern of Sokoto knows what's going on there?
It doesn't know what's going on, but just like Henry said minutes ago about the military state, Nigerians, a lot of our leaders, they're used to these military decrees and proclamations that they like to ask. If not, I wonder how do you regulate social media in a democracy? Social media is democratic. Social media is actually democracy. This is people talking. If it affects you, you ignore it. If you sympathize with it or you agree with what they say, then you can actually second it. Do you understand? So you coming to regulate social media, I hear this thing. I've been hearing this thing since way back 2016, I'll be 17. But in this particular administration, I started hearing about regulating social media that actually brought about this administration. The social media that brought about this administration. I wonder most times, like, how do you expect that social media, like, how do you expect the social media to be regulated? When I hear this thing sometimes, because see, it's like I'm not educated with regards to this thing. Maybe someone should educate me or throw more light on this particular thing. Do you understand? Because regulating social media is like gagging the people. Before now, there's somebody.
It's like damage control.
No, it's worse than damage control. I experienced the Abacha
perception control, not damage.
Exactly.
Control.
I experienced the Abacha administration, and then one thing I remember, I was probably say 9, 8, whatever. But one thing I remember my parents always telling me is, "Shh, Mommy, who is Abacha? Shut up. Mommy, shut up." Like in Lagos, we couldn't mention Abacha anyhow. We had the military. Killer squad, we had the squads, different squads, we had even manual. See, it was crazy then. They used to flog parents in our front. Sanitation day, people wouldn't come outside, and you find parents, is this front of your house, and you find kids in military flogging people's parents. Like, we saw all of these things, do you understand? And then people had their reservations, people couldn't speak. People couldn't just say anything. So right now that we have the social media, where somebody can sit in the comfort of his house and say, "Look, me, I don't support this thing. Hey, me, I support this thing. Hey, this government is working. They're doing this." You're saying they should restrict all of these conversations, restrict all of these opinions. That's basically what you're trying to say is restrict the people's opinion. You're not saying necessarily stop it. You're saying restrict.
Determine what goes and what
doesn't go. My brother, you can't have democracy and without social media, man. It has come to stay.
Do you think social media? Let's look at Twitter. You know, Twitter has been a platform where the government has been dragged many times. You know, dragged for bad. If there was Ireland is there as well. If there was good, I believe these platforms as well could have been avenues for the government to be praised, you know, for the world to see, you know. So do you think social media is the problem we have? Like, how is social media the problem of the government? Do you think it's because of social media Nigerian support?
I want to remove it.
Do you think it's because of social media there's insecurity?
No.
Do you think it's because of social media there are no jobs in Nigeria?
No. In fact, social media has created more jobs than the APC administration.
That's what they don't see. Anyway,
now I like to divide things and bring them to their micro states. You understand? What we have with certain groups of people, I don't want to call them the elite anymore because I think that they're just agbayas For those who don't understand, Yoruba Agbaya is like big for nothing.
Ah,
Yeah. So when you have, say, your uncle or a parent at home who has soiled themselves, and you see the kids cannot tell you that you have messed up, you understand? You start to say, "Shut up, shut up." That's where they started with that's where they got their idea of regulating freedom of speech. You understand? It went on from there to dictators who would say, "You cannot even talk about, you cannot even whisper my name without my permission. Don't do it." So these people have their own view of what life is like. Unfortunately, they've been around for too long. We did not, when social media was advancing, we did not, no, I'm serious, sir. I've not insulted anybody, yeah? We did not plan that 90-year-old people will be leading us in the era of social media. We didn't think that Facebook, no, I'm not calling names. We didn't think that Facebook and Twitter will come and battle with some octogenarians and nanogenarians. I believe that, I don't know if that's what they're called, but they need to smell the coffee. Where the world is going to, freedom of speech is essential to where we are going to. We are gradually becoming a global village. Listen, let's use the issue of same-sex marriage. That was a tough decision under the Jonathan administration. Since 2013, I think, late 13 to early 14 was when that legislation was passed. Over time, we have not gone back to that legislation, but over time you will realize that there's the needle of acceptance for same-sex marriages, or even the conversation around it, is gradually shifting. Now, when we look at things like that, it's showing us that society as a whole is headed in a particular direction. Anybody that continues to pull is just going to get tired. And another question I want to ask, can anybody really imagine in Nigeria, as bad as Nigeria is, can you imagine that there's no social media? Can you imagine that social media is regulated or banned, outrightly banned in Nigeria? Can you imagine what will happen? Imagine if we could not speak like this. Imagine if we could not get some of these things on our chests off on Twitter. Imagine what will happen to us.
Oh, it's crazy though. And the way I look at it as well, you talked about progression. The world is changing, it's digitalizing, and in a good way. Some people move with it, some don't move. Even some people from that era, it's just like having parents, your dad had this typewriter or whatever. It took some parents time to move to get computers. Some were still stuck there, wherever, And the thing I want to say, if the government is working, if you are doing something good, you're not going to be trying to regulate anything. You're not going to be thinking of, you want to even create more. How can this goodness we're doing circulate more around the world? Do you understand? So there's that conversation. Anyway, I've come to the end of today's episode. Mr. Houston, do you have something on your mind? Like, you're looking like you want to say
Yes. How come you didn't say anything about the Attorney General and the indictment of the Attorney General? How
indictments on the
over the week we
2 billion.
Over the week we understand. They made us understand that National Assembly made us understand that the Attorney General, fighting for justice for the presidency or defending the presidency, he will always come and deny it. But that's a very very huge allegation. So.
Well, the thing with allegations, though, if somebody has not really been convicted, I cannot really speak too much.
Who has actually been convicted from everything we're talking about?
No, we didn't speak on allegations here now. If they accuse somebody of stealing, I don't know whether you stole. You have come out to say you didn't steal. What should I be backing with you about? Whether you stole, whether you didn't steal.
When that lady woman said it was Biafra boys, did you investigate?
He said it with his mouth, and we heard it.
But did you confirm it was actually Biafra boys?
Anyway, we're done now.
So, thank you guys.
Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Please like, subscribe, please share our video, and thank you for watching. Subscribe to Page 36 TV. Thank you.